We're going to go to Washington, D.C. now as we take a live look at the U.S. Capitol, where people are lined up to pay respects to former President Jimmy Carter.
39th president will lie in state at the Capitol until 7 a.m. Today is a national day of mourning, with his state funeral happening in just over 3 hours at the National Cathedral.
And that's where we find today's Craig Melvin this morning. And Craig, despite the bitter cold there in D.C., thousands have paid their respects to a man who dedicated his life to serving others.
Yeah, Danita, Dave, good morning to you. That has been a central theme of the tributes that have been paid to Jimmy Carter over the past few days. Among those paying their respects there in the Capitol Rotunda yesterday, President-elect Donald Trump, his wife Melania. We've heard, of course, from Vice President Harris as well. Today, this morning, we expect to hear from President Biden. He will be among those who are eulogizing former President Carter behind me here at the National Cathedral. It was a request made by Carter himself in person back in 2021 when President Biden and Dr. Joe Biden visited then former President Carter and his wife at the time, Rosalind Carter, there in Plains, Georgia. That was when he asked him if he would eulogize him when he passed away. Also interesting, among those paying their respects today, the son, of course, of Gerald Ford. It was Gerald Ford that President Carter beat back in 1976. Before President Ford died, he left some remarks that he wanted read, so his son will be reading those. Also, Walter Mondale's son will be paying his respects as well. Some words written by President Carter's vice president. His grandchildren, President Carter's grandchildren, will be honorary pallbearers. The service set to start here around 10 a.m. at the National Cathedral. From here, his remains will be carried to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, and there he will be flown back to Plains, Georgia, where he will be laid to rest next to his wife of some 77 years, Rosalind Carter. Interestingly enough, though, for folks who do want to visit the former president down in Plains, Georgia, you'll be able to see him and his wife's tombstone from their front porch when he is laid to rest later today, guys.
Such a great humanitarian. Craig Melvin from the Today Show, thank you very much for what you shared with us this morning.